for confusion thing, these are, you know, the three biggest bones in the body, right? Or the femur is the biggest one, but you got a really long neck. Both of them have a ball at the end, but this one has a short little ball over there. Your tibia doesn't have anything like that. Okay, so humerus is that one right there. And that's on your, that is your, sitting up here, your big arm bone in the front. This thing right here is your medial epicondyle. That's your funny bone that you can feel right there. So you feel that on your arm, that's what you're feeling. When you hit it, that's because your ulnar nerve is a nerve, and that's why you can feel like a little buzzing on your pinky side right there, because your nerve is running down there. All right, so head, the head of it is fitting in. Actually, on this side right here, the head of it's fitting inside right here, inside the glenoid fossa. So that's going to be facing in, and your medial epicondyle is also facing toward the body. So that tells you that you're looking, this is the medial side, right? So it could be like this, but you don't want to confuse it because this kind of looks the same, right? They're both facing in. One, but this might be the back, and it is the back, in fact. So how do you know what's the front and what's the back? What are these two things called? Anybody know?
The greater or lesser tubercle?
Yeah, greater and lesser tubercle, exactly, right? One's a little higher, that's the greater tubercle, the one a little lower is the lesser tubercle. In between them, you got a groove right there. That's where your biceps tendon runs through. That's called your bicipital groove or your intertubicular sulcus. In between intertubercle, right? That's how you remember that. So you got your head. The neck is very short, unlike the femur, but there is what's called an anatomical neck here. This is the surgical neck. This is a place that injuries often, like it often breaks right there. That's why they call it the surgical neck. That's what you want to know up here. Most of your stuff is here and here, right? The only thing you got in the middle, and it's not super pronounced, is this roughening spot. This is your deltoid tuberosity. Right? Your deltoid muscle comes down here and attaches to that point right there. That's why it's called the deltoid tuberosity. That's the only thing you got to know in the shaft. If you see anything labeled on the shaft, I'm asking about the deltoid tuberosity. Okay. Otherwise, everything's up here and down here. So I already said this is the medial epicondyle. Over here, the lateral epicondyle is not super pronounced, but it's on the other side. Condyle, epicondyle means above the condyle. So condyle is a joint surface. We don't usually call these condyles. We name them, have specific names. Right, you got one over here where the ulnar sits, right here, and that's called the trochlea. This surface where the ulnar sits, just because this moves around it like a trochlea, like a pulley kind of action like that, right? Trochlea, this happens to be the trochlea notch, conveniently. And then you got a more rounded one. Capitulum, right?
Yeah,
Radial bone sits onto, right? Okay. So it sits on and rotates around it. Your radius isn't part of this movement at all, right? It just kind of goes along with it. It's not part of your elbow joint.
But it's about
Right. It will move around in this movement, but it's not part of your flexion and extension movement. We haven't learned that yet. So trochlea and capitulum. Trochlea sits with the trochlea notch of the ulnar. The capitulum sits on the radial head. Radial head has that cap on it. Capitulum. That's how you might remember that. Okay? On the back, right over here, let's have called the olecranon fossa. This is the olecranon process. The olecranon process sits in the olecranon fossa just like the trochlea sits with the trochlea notch. Okay? So that is your humerus. And because you're looking
about the posterior side.
right? She's filming, so I'll answer you. No, that's cool. I'll answer you in a second just to get over with it. So what she's saying about the posterior side, the olecranon fossa, right? That tells you you're looking at the back. These tell you you're looking at the front. So again, this is facing in. This is the obvious one over here, right? The one that's over here is facing inward, right? So this is your right humerus. Right? This doesn't work, right? This doesn't work right. That one works. Okay? Humerus.